up your engine! Today I'm going to talk about an overheating Toyota Corolla and the poor quality of mechanic work these days. Now this Toyota overheated. This guy took it to the Toyota dealer. Toyota dealer charged them $531. And all they did was change the radiator hoses and put new coolant in. Talk about a ripoff. But the worst thing is, it didn't fix the car. It's still overheating. I see that so much these days. Everybody's in a hurry to make money. Just change the hoses and put coolant in it for $531. They obviously did not road test the car. He got it back, it's still overheating. So I look at the bill and I look at the car. It's got 200,000 something miles on it. What's on the bill? They didn't even mention that they replaced the thermostat. So they didn't change the thermostat. Thermostats are closed when it's cold. They open up to flow when the engine's warmed up. 200 something thousand miles, they'll often wear out, right? Common sense. They charged them $531 to change some hoses and coolant. They certainly should have changed the thermostat. Now that just shows poor training, poor quality of work, and this was at the dealership. Let's hope that changing this thermostat is going to fix it. And if it does, I'm going to advise my customer to go back to the dealer, demand all of his money back, because it's just total fraud. They didn't do the simple thing. These young mechanics that a lot of places have, they don't even analyze the stuff. And they certainly don't road test it when they're done. They don't know it's fixed. Any fool knows. If the thing overheats and you don't see any obvious problems, change the thermostat. It can stick shut, right? So we're going to try that, see if it fixes it. First we'll put a pan underneath to catch the coolant so we don't waste it. Now in this case, the thermostat is hiding. It's down here. There it is. Right here. It's got a bolt in the top and a bolt on the bottom. You can see the bottom bolt there. We're going to take it out and change it. Now it may be out of sight, but it shouldn't be out of mind in a good mechanic. That's the first thing they should have changed. I don't know what they're using at these dealerships, what kind of mechanics they're hiring, if they don't even do something that simple. 10mm socket, put a little extension on, and unbolt it. Yeah, there isn't much working room, and it's on tight, but it's not that big of a deal. There's one 10mm bolt. Put it here so I don't lose it. Then we'll do the other one. And the bottom one's harder to get, so we're going to use a deep well 10mm. Where there's a well, there's a way. If it sticks in deep, just use a deep well socket to get over the thread. Not that easy to see, but it's not that hard of a job. Now I can get it with my bare finger. And here comes number 2. Then we just pull on it, and out it comes. There's the thermostat. Now, judging by the corrodedness of the gasket, this is the original one. Why, oh why they didn't replace the thermostat is beyond me. I guess it must have been a young mechanic who doesn't know that much about cars. Didn't think, oh, thermostat, it's a car with 200 something thousand miles. Try the cheapest part that could possibly fix it. No, $500 worth of hoses that he probably didn't need, and it didn't fix the problem. Because they didn't even road test it. A new thermostat and gasket, we'll put it in. It just pushes back in the hole right there. There's the new one pushed in its hole. Then you just put the thermostat cover on it and bolt it up. Just slide it back on and bolt it on. First put them on finger tight so the gasket doesn't slip. You don't want the gasket slipping. Then you can get the deep well socket 10mm, flip it, and tighten it up. Then you put coolant back in. We'll get our pan. And it looks to me like they even lied about new coolant. This coolant is pretty old and dirty looking. So I'm draining it all out, and I'm gonna put new coolant in. Now you notice this is Xerox, but it's Asian vehicle one. You don't have to go buy the expensive stuff at Toyota. Realize Toyota does not make coolant. They just buy it from somebody. This is what's called a HOT coolant, hybrid organic acid technology. And that's when you're using this car. So after draining it up, I'm putting new stuff in. It's always better to use the 50-50 dilution. That way it always stays 50-50. If you use pure, you don't know what's inside. 50-50 is what you want, so buy it that way. It costs a little more, but what the heck, it works right. Now we have to get the air out of the system, so we're gonna start the car and turn the AC on full blast. Now that makes the AC fan come on, so it'll keep it cool while it's warming up. As you can see, the fan's blowing. And another trick is this. Also turn the heater on full blast, because then the heater will recirculate and get air out of the heater core, which is hiding inside here. Air can get stuck in there. And as it warms up, add coolant. And we're also going to replace the radiator cap. This is the original one with 200 something thousand miles. the springs will wear out over time. But before you put it on, we let the car warm up to get the air out, but then we let it sit for about 40 minutes. Because then, if there's any air, a lot of times it'll migrate, and you can pour more coolant in. All the way to the top, you can see a bunch of air migrated. Then we're gonna start it up again and check it. Then top it up the rest of the way. Keep going until all the bubbles are gone. Then put the top on nice and tight. The old cap, it came off real easy, loose. This is nice and tight. You should see it. Now we're going to take it for a good road test. So we'll start it up. Starts right up, and away we go. So away we go on a magical mystery tour. We can see it's staying a little under halfway so far. And away we go. We'll drive it a good half hour on the highway. Went okay on the highway. Now we're going to try it in town. So far it's staying good. You want to test it both on the highway and in town. 15-20 minutes of each. Now as you can see, it stayed pretty much in the middle. But there's one thing I'm worried about now, and that's a possibility with all this overheating, since it happened twice. After it was fixed, it happened again. It could have damaged the head gasket. So we're going to let it cool down and do a head gasket test. Put a big fan in front and let it cool down. And in about half an hour we'll do a head gasket leak test to see if the head gasket's been damaged. Well, now we'll turn the fan off and we'll test the head gasket. So we get our block leak test. We'll take the top off and we'll pour in some of the blue liquid. You can see it's blue. We put the top back on. Then we stick it in the radiator, make a vacuum with the pump. Now we start the vehicle, see if it changes colors. If it goes blue to yellow, head gasket's blown. So here we go. As you can see, it's starting to turn. It's not yellow yet, but it's getting yellow. It's not the solid blue that it was before. And what that means is, it's got a small leak. I'm gonna try some sealer. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. It's got 244,000 miles. It's probably time to say goodbye to this car. Now, even though it ran okay for me, it was starting to lose a little coolant. I had to add some more coolant to it. So that shows it's burning the coolant. Now, I put in some head gasket sealer. You just pour it in. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but it's probably time to say goodbye to this car, because I can't say if it blew after the dealer had worked on it or whether it was blown when they had it and they just didn't do a good job and didn't test the system like I did with a block leak test to see if the head gasket had been damaged. Obviously it has some damage. Hey, maybe the sealer will last a while, who knows? But it was not repaired and diagnosed correctly at the dealer for sure. Because all they had to do is that simple test I just did to see that, well, the head gasket's blowing. And then you wouldn't have put hoses and all kinds of stuff on. You would have just said, okay, it overheated. Why did it overheat? Well, the head gasket's blowing. Do you want to repair it or you want to forget it? Because that was $500-something just wasted, really. But I am trying the sealer. I put in some Vars head gasket sealer. You let it idle for half an hour with the heat and the AC on. Then you let it cool for half an hour. And you repeat that 6 times or so. Let it sit overnight. Then pray a whole bunch that it'll hold up. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.